Russia, winter. Snow falls silently outside a royal palace. Inside, a group of terrified nobles stare at a man who should already be dead. Minutes earlier, they fed him enough poison to kill several people. But he keeps eating, keeps drinking, keeps smiling. Fear spreads through the room. One noble whispers, "What is he?" Then suddenly, a gunshot explodes through the palace halls. The man collapses. Blood spreads across the floor. Finally, they think it's over. But moments later, the dead man stands back up. This is the terrifying true story of the man many believed could not die. The rise and fall of Grigori Rasputin. Rasputin was born in 1869 in a freezing Siberian village called Pokrovskoye. Life there was brutal, long winters, poverty, hard labor. Most peasants lived simple lives and died forgotten. But from childhood, people believed Rasputin was different. Some villagers claimed he could sense things before they happened. Others said animals calmed around him. There were even stories that he could heal sickness through prayer. But there was another side to him. As he grew older, Rasputin became known for drinking heavily, fighting, and chasing women. He was deeply religious, yet deeply troubled. And somehow, those contradictions made him even more mysterious. In his late 20s, Rasputin experienced what he claimed was a spiritual awakening. He abandoned his ordinary life and began wandering across Russia as a holy pilgrim. For years, he traveled from village to village, praying, preaching, hypnotizing audiences with his intense stare. Some saw him as a saint, others believed he was dangerous. Nobody imagined this poor Siberian peasant would soon influence the most powerful family in Russia. At the time, Russia was ruled by Nicholas II. The Romanov dynasty had ruled for over 300 years. But behind palace walls, the royal family hid a terrifying secret. The emperor's son Alexei suffered from hemophilia, a disease where even a small injury could cause deadly bleeding. The royal doctors were helpless. Every attack could kill the boy. The queen, Alexandra Feodorovna, lived in constant fear. Then Rasputin entered their lives. When Alexei became dangerously ill, Rasputin prayed beside him. And somehow, the child improved. Nobody could explain it. Perhaps it was coincidence. Perhaps Rasputin simply calmed the family enough to help the boy recover. But to the queen, it was a miracle. From that moment on, she trusted Rasputin completely, and that trust changed Russian history forever. Soon, Rasputin became one of the most powerful men in the empire. Nobles hated him, the church feared him, but the queen protected him. Rumors spread across Russia. People claimed Rasputin drank endlessly, slept with noblewomen, and manipulated the royal family like puppets. Newspapers called him the Mad Monk. Yet despite every scandal, he remained close to the throne. His eyes terrified people most. Witnesses described his stare as hypnotic. Some claimed he could control minds. Others believed he was possessed. As Russia entered World War I, conditions became disastrous. Food shortages spread. Soldiers died by the thousands. The people grew angry, and many blamed Rasputin. To them, he symbolized everything rotten inside the empire. By 1916, certain nobles reached a horrifying conclusion. If Russia was to survive, Rasputin had to die. On a freezing December night, Prince Felix Yusupov invited Rasputin to his palace. It was a trap. Waiting downstairs were several conspirators determined to murder him. First came the poison. They served Rasputin cakes and wine filled with cyanide. Enough poison to kill multiple men. The conspirators watched carefully. They waited and waited. But Rasputin continued eating calmly, smiling, laughing. Nothing happened. Panic filled the room. Some historians later questioned whether the poison was even real, but the killers believed they were facing something unnatural. Finally, Yusupov pulled out a revolver. A gunshot shattered the silence. Rasputin collapsed onto the floor. Blood covered the carpet. The conspirators sighed with relief. At last, the nightmare was over. But then, something impossible happened. Rasputin's eyes opened, slowly. He stood back up, the nobles froze in terror. Rasputin lunged toward them and staggered into the snowy courtyard, trying to escape. The conspirators chased him outside. More gunshots echoed through the night. Rasputin finally collapsed into the snow, but even then, they feared he still lived. So they tied his body and dumped it into the freezing Neva River. Days later, his frozen corpse was discovered beneath the ice. And then the rumors began. Some claimed water was found in his lungs, suggesting he was still alive when he entered the river. Whether true or not, the legend was born, the man who refused to die. But Rasputin's death did not save Russia. Only months later, the Russian Empire collapsed, the Russian Revolution erupted, the royal family was overthrown, and eventually executed. Many later viewed Rasputin as a dark warning before the empire's destruction, almost like a shadow standing at the end of Romanov Russia. More than a century later, people still debate who Rasputin truly was: a healer, a fraud, a manipulator, or simply a man transformed into a monster by fear and rumor. The truth may never be known, but one thing is certain: very few people in history became legends while still alive, and even fewer became immortal after death. Final line empires fell, kings died, but the legend of Rasputin never disappeared.